I never thought I'd be making this kind of post, but I really need outside perspective on my situation. My husband Larry, 34M, and I, 32F, have been married for 4 years now. We met at a construction industry conference where I was representing my company as a project manager. He was there showcasing some innovative design solutions his firm had developed. We clicked instantly over our shared passion for the industry and similar views on life. Our courtship was pretty straightforward. We dated for 2 years before getting married. Both our families were supportive of our relationship since we both had stable careers and similar values. The wedding was small but perfect, just close family and friends. Larry's best man even joked in his speech about how we were perfect for each other because we both spoke the language of blueprints and deadlines. The first 3 years of our marriage were great. We both focused on our careers but always made time for each other. We had this tradition of Friday night takeout and catching up on our favorite shows. Weekends were for trying new restaurants or visiting our families. We talked about everything and supported each other's career goals. I was there for him when he was working towards his professional certification, and he supported me when I took on bigger projects at work. We don't have kids yet, which was a mutual decision we made before getting married. Both of us wanted to focus on our careers first and wait until we had more stability and less workload to start a family. We agreed that when we eventually had kids, we wanted to be present parents who could give proper time to raising them. Larry occasionally brought up trying for a baby, especially after his sister had her second child last year, but I reminded him of our agreement. He seemed understanding about it, though I noticed he would get a bit quiet whenever we saw his sister's kids. Everything started changing about 2 months ago. I first noticed Larry being more protective of his phone. He would turn it face down when I was around, something he never did before. He started taking calls outside or in another room, saying they were work-related. At first, I didn't think much of it. His firm had taken on several big projects, and as a design engineer, he was handling multiple teams. Long calls and frequent messages seemed normal. But then I started noticing other changes. He began working late more often. Our Friday night traditions became irregular because he would often text saying he needed to finish something at work. When he was home, he was constantly checking his phone and smiling at messages. I tried to ask about his day or his projects, but his answers became vague and distracted. 2 weeks ago, I accidentally saw a message preview on his phone when it lit up during dinner. It was from someone named Natalie, saying something about how talking to him was the highlight of her day. When I asked Larry about it, he got defensive at first, but then admitted that Natalie was his coworker who had recently gotten divorced. He said she was going through depression and he was just trying to be supportive. I did some digging and found out that Natalie, 29F, joined his firm 6 months ago as part of their expanding design team. She got divorced 3 months ago after discovering her ex-husband was having an affair with his gym trainer. Larry said he noticed she was struggling emotionally at work, often crying in the break room, and decided to help her cope. According to him, they just talk about life and work, and he gives her advice on dealing with her divorce. The problem is, their conversations aren't just about her divorce anymore. Last week, while Larry was showing me some work photos on his phone, I glimpsed their chat history. They talk about everything, their day-to-day lives, inside jokes, personal stuff. He's even told her things about our marriage that I'm not comfortable with others knowing, like our disagreements about having kids and how he sometimes feels I prioritize work over him. When I confronted Larry about crossing boundaries, he got defensive and said I was being insensitive to someone going through a tough time. He tried to justify it by saying that since he works closely with her on projects, he couldn't just watch her suffer. He insisted there was nothing romantic between them and that I was overreacting. He even brought up how his dad had helped his secretary through her divorce years ago, and his mom had never made a big deal about it. I told him that while it's fine to be supportive of a coworker, this level of emotional intimacy isn't appropriate. I pointed out that Natalie is a grown woman who can seek professional help or support from her friends and family. Besides, their company has an employee assistance program that offers counseling services. Larry accused me of being jealous and said I was making a big deal out of nothing. What really bothers me is how much he's changed since this started. Our conversations have become superficial. He doesn't share things with me like he used to. Even when we're watching TV together, he's constantly on his phone. Last night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and found his side of the bed empty. He was in the living room, texting. When I asked who he was talking to so late, he got irritated and said it was work-related. Last week, I found out he had lunch alone with her 3 times. A friend who works near their office spotted them at a cafe that's quite far from their workplace. When I asked Larry about it, he said they were work lunches to discuss projects. But why couldn't they discuss work in the office cafeteria? Why drive 20 minutes to a cafe? When I pointed this out, he accused me of having people spy on him. I'm not sure what to do anymore. Our marriage counselor retired last year, and Larry refuses to see a new one, saying there's nothing wrong with our marriage. Am I overreacting? Is this really just him being a supportive coworker, or am I right to be concerned about emotional cheating? I love Larry and want to trust him, but something doesn't feel right about this situation. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your insights and support really helped me see things clearly when I was doubting myself. Unfortunately, things have gotten much worse, and I need to share what happened. After my last post, I tried to work on things with Larry. He promised to maintain professional boundaries with Natalie and even showed me some work emails where he was keeping things strictly business. For a while, it seemed like things were improving. He started coming home earlier, and we even went on a weekend trip to the beach last month. I started to think maybe I had overreacted. But yesterday changed everything. I was doing laundry, something I always do on Sundays. While checking pockets before throwing clothes in the washer, I learned this habit after ruining one too many credit cards. I found a folded paper in Larry's jacket pocket. It was a hotel receipt from the Marriott downtown, dated last Tuesday, in Natalie's name. My hands started shaking when I saw the date because last Tuesday, Larry had texted me saying he'd be working late to finish some urgent design revisions. I sat on the laundry room floor for what felt like hours, just staring at that receipt. Then I decided to do some investigating before confronting him. I called the hotel, pretending to be Natalie. I said I needed a copy of my receipt for expense records since I lost the original. The receptionist was really helpful, probably because the booking was recent. She mentioned that I, meaning Natalie, had checked in around 2 p.m. and checked out at 6 p.m. My heart sank because I had texts from Larry from that exact time period. At 1:45 p.m., stuck at work, big design review meeting. At 5:30 p.m., still at office, don't wait up for dinner. He had even sent a picture of his desk with some blueprints to make it convincing. Looking at those texts now made me feel sick. I knew I needed more proof before confronting him. I got dressed and drove to the hotel. I probably looked like a mess because I hadn't even brushed my hair, but I didn't care. I went to the front desk and asked to speak with a manager. I showed them Larry's picture from my phone and explained my situation. I felt pathetic slipping them some money, but I needed to know the truth. The manager was surprisingly understanding. She confirmed that Larry and Natalie were regular guests. They usually came in the afternoons and stayed for a few hours. Always the same room on the 4th floor overlooking the park. She even mentioned they seemed very comfortable with the routine, always stopping to chat with the staff. I drove home in the daze. All those late nights at work, all those project deadlines and design reviews, how many of them were lies? I parked in our driveway and just sat there, remembering all the times in the past 6 months when things didn't add up. The random work dinners, the weekend design emergencies, even that conference last month that he said was mandatory. When Larry got home, I was waiting in the kitchen with the receipt on the table. He walked in talking about his day like nothing was wrong. Then he saw my face and the paper on the table. I've never seen someone's expression change so fast. At first, he tried to deny everything. He claimed Natalie must have used the room herself, that he had no idea about it. When I mentioned the hotel staff confirmed seeing them together, he switched to saying it was just one time, a moment of weakness. But when I brought up the regular visits, he finally broke down. The emotional affair had turned physical 3 months ago. He tried to justify it, saying things got out of hand, that he never meant for it to happen. Then he had the audacity to blame me. He said I was always working, that I didn't understand his needs, that I kept putting off having kids. He even brought up how Natalie really listened to him and understood him in ways I never did. I lost it. I went upstairs and started throwing his clothes into garbage bags. He followed me, alternating between apologizing and accusing me of overreacting. When he said I was partly responsible for pushing him away, I threw a bag of his precious designer shirts down the stairs. He's been staying at his friend Mike's place since last night. His phone has been blowing up with messages, first apologizing, then blaming me for not working harder on our marriage, then begging me to talk to him. He even had his mother call me this morning. Apparently, he told her I threw him out because I found messages from a female coworker and overreacted. I blocked him on everything except email, which I'm keeping open only for divorce-related communication. I have an appointment with a divorce lawyer next week. I'm staying with my sister Sarah for now because I can't stand being in our house alone. She's been amazing through all this. Last night, she sat with me while I cried and didn't once say I told you so, even though she never liked Larry. The worst part is realizing that while I was worried about an emotional affair 6 months ago and trying to work on our marriage, they were probably already sleeping together then. All those comments on my original post warning me that it was probably already physical, you were right. I should have trusted my gut feeling sooner. At least I found out before we had kids together. That's about the only silver lining I can find right now. Update 2: things have gotten even messier since my last update, and I need to get this off my chest. Through some mutual friends at Larry's company, I learned that rumors about his affair with Natalie had been circulating for months. Apparently, everyone knew except me. Some of his coworkers even had a betting pool about when I would find out. Finding this out made me feel like such a fool. My friend Jenny, who works in the same building as Larry's firm, told me that people often saw them together in the office. They would take smoke breaks together. Larry doesn't even smoke, eat lunch in her car, and sometimes leave work at the same time. The parking garage security guard apparently joked about them being inseparable. Everyone just assumed I was okay with it or didn't care. The real drama started last week. Natalie's ex-husband somehow found out about their affair and called Larry's company to complain. He was furious because apparently, while Natalie was telling everyone that he cheated on her, she had already been seeing Larry before their divorce was finalized. This led to an interesting twist. When HR started investigating, Natalie completely threw Larry under the bus. She told everyone that after her divorce, Larry aggressively pursued her, using their work projects as an excuse to spend time together. She claimed she was vulnerable and emotional after her divorce, and Larry took advantage of that. According to her, she tried to maintain professional boundaries, but he kept pushing them. She even showed HR their text messages, carefully selected to make it look like Larry was the pursuer. She conveniently left out all her messages initiating contact or planning their hotel meetings. One of Larry's team members told me she was crying in HR's office, saying she felt pressured because Larry was senior to her in the company hierarchy. He's not, they're the same level. Larry got called into HR last week. He's now facing an internal investigation for inappropriate workplace conduct. He might lose the big project he was leading, which would seriously impact his career growth. His team has been reassigned to other project managers, and he's been asked to work from home until the investigation is complete. He called me crying yesterday. First time I've heard him cry since his dad passed away 2 years ago. He said his career might be ruined and begged me to take him back. He claimed Natalie manipulated him and that he's realized what a huge mistake he made. He even offered to go to marriage counseling and said he'd sign a post-nup agreement if I wanted. I told him that his problems at work are his own doing and hung up. The divorce is proceeding smoothly since he's not contesting anything anymore. I think he's hoping I'll change my mind if he cooperates with the divorce instead of fighting it. His mother keeps calling me too, saying we shouldn't let one mistake ruin years of marriage. I finally blocked her number yesterday. I've already moved into my own apartment. It's small but peaceful. No more checking phones, no more analyzing every late night at work, no more pretending to believe obvious lies. After moving out, I found a box of old photos from our dating days. Looking at them felt like looking at strangers. We were so happy then, or at least I thought we were. The funny thing is, last week I ran into Mike, Larry's friend who he stayed with after I kicked him out, at the grocery store. Mike apologized to me. He said he had no idea Larry was staying with him because of an affair. Larry had told him we were having issues because I was too focused on work and neglecting our marriage. Mike found out the truth from his wife, who works at Larry's company. He said he kicked Larry out as soon as he learned what really happened. My lawyer says we should be done with everything in a few months. Larry's being surprisingly cooperative with the divorce proceedings, probably because he's too busy dealing with the HR investigation to put up a fight. He signed over his share of our house to me in exchange for keeping his retirement account untouched. Fine by me, I already accepted an offer on the house. I can't live there anymore anyway. Too many memories. It's amazing how much mental energy I was spending on worrying about their relationship. Now that I've accepted it's over, I feel lighter. I'm focusing on work and myself. I've started taking those yoga classes I always wanted to try but Larry said were a waste of money. I'm planning a solo trip to Europe next month, something I've always wanted to do but put off because Larry wasn't interested in traveling. Update 3: this is my final update on this situation. The divorce was finalized last week. It still feels surreal to write that. I'm officially no longer married to Larry. The whole process ended up being faster than expected because Larry didn't contest anything after the HR investigation concluded. Speaking of which, Larry lost his job. The investigation found that he had misused company time and resources to pursue the affair. They also found that he had assigned Natalie to his project specifically to spend more time with her, bypassing the normal team allocation process. He was given the option to resign instead of being fired, which he took. Natalie still works at his former company but apparently has already moved on to dating someone else, a client from one of their big projects. Larry's friends told me he's been telling everyone that I abandoned him when he needed me most. He said I kicked him out without trying to work things out and that I took advantage of his vulnerable state during the HR investigation to take everything in the divorce. I don't care anymore what story he tells. Larry tried to contact me one last time after the divorce was finalized. He left a letter in my mailbox, 5 pages of self-pitying explanations about how he never meant to hurt me, how the stress of work and our delayed family planning pushed him into another woman's arms, how he realizes now what he lost. He wrote that losing his job made him understand how I felt when I lost my trust in him. The letter ended with him asking if we could meet for coffee sometime, for closure. I threw the letter away without responding. I don't need closure. I got all the closure I needed when I found that hotel receipt. My sister wants me to forward the letter to his new employer. He finally found a job at a smaller firm, but I'm done with revenge. The best revenge is moving on and being happy. And I am happy. My company offered me a promotion that would require relocating to another state. It's a bigger role with more responsibility and significantly better pay. I accepted it without hesitation. Fresh start, new city, new life. The moving company is coming next week. I sold our house for a good price. The market was surprisingly good, and being a project manager helped me stage and present the house well. I'm using part of the money for a down payment on a small condo in my new city. It's closer to the ocean, something I always wanted but Larry said was impractical. My sister helped me pack last weekend. We found my old travel journal from before I met Larry, full of places I wanted to visit. After my promotion kicks in, I'm planning to take 2 weeks off and visit Italy. Larry always said Europe was overrated and preferred beach resorts. Funny how many of my old dreams I put aside without even realizing it. It's time to close this chapter of my life. I'm in a much better place now, and I know I made the right decision. Moving to a new city where nobody knows my story as the woman whose husband had an affair with a coworker feels incredibly liberating. Here's to new beginnings.